Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a video all about how we did Lapland in Finland for 8 days for under £2,000. Hi everybody and welcome back. If you're watching this video, I hope you've had a really lovely Christmas, or maybe you're watching it in the new year, and if so, Happy New Year. If you're anything like me, it was about this time last year that I started to think about next Christmas, and I just watched a friend go away and she'd gone on a really magical winter holiday with her grandson, and she'd been sending loads of things on Instagram and seen her pictures all over Facebook, and it just made me really determined to make that a reality for my family. I really wanted to take my girls to Lapland. I've mentioned before that it's not a trip I ever thought I'd be able to do. It's a really expensive, extravagant trip that a lot of people can't afford to do. But I did some research and I stumbled across a blog where a family had done it for about £2,000, so the budget we had, and with some research and with some planning, we managed to do it, and we took our girls away for 8 days in December to visit the Finnish Lapland of Rovaniemi, and we had a brilliant time, and I wanted to share with you what we did. So the first part of this video is a bit of a vlog of our trip. It takes you on a day by day of what we did and how we did it, where we went, and some of little montages of our activities when we were in Lapland. And then at the end of this video I'm going to share with you some of the nitty-gritty bits and the details of how we managed to do it, how we did it for such a small budget, and I hope you enjoy it. So if you're not interested in actually watching this bit and just want to click straight to the information at the end, I won't be offended, so just click straight ahead. Here you go. We've arrived in Helsinki. It's about 1:30 and we are on the train that's taking us from the airport all the way through to the VR station that will take us on the sleep train up to Rovaniemi. The girls were really good on the flight and got a little bit grumpy walking through the airport because it's really huge.
I smell more snow. Why does some frozen legs?
Jessica's on the top bunk, she's got a little thing, and we've got a little ladder here to climb up. Got some nice water, and there's just enough space underneath for your 2 suitcases. We'll have a look in a second. And then you've got a little bathroom here. It's all very compact. Ugh. Toilet, sink, and I think you can pull this aside and there's a shower up there as well, so I don't think we'll be using that though, to be fair.
These.
Easy colours, yeah?
Look at all that snow piled up together.
We've arrived in Rovaniemi and are at the VR station. Girls are happily watching it outside, and Stu's gone off to collect the car for our car hire, and then we're going to head up, maybe get some supermarket shopping, and then head up to our Airbnb. Arrived at our accommodation and it's absolutely beautiful. That river looks freezing, but this is our house. It's got a little Christmas tree and everything. We've got our hire car, so I'm going to go inside and show you where we're staying. We go inside and see what it's like. Stamp your feet, just get all the snow off. Right, as you come in, you have a big open plan sort of lounge with a TV up here, and then you have sort of a kitchen area, with a log fire. There's also wood, and there's also wood out in the store as well, so you've got loads extra. And then as you came into the left is a twin room, so it's got a nice one of those IKEA units and a hanging rail above, and then you've got your 2 beds. I mean, just look at that view. Oh my goodness. Then you've got this really nice, useful space here for hanging up all your coats and things. And then you've got another room, which I think can be made up as a twin or a double room. They've put a cot in here as well for us, not that we need it, and a hanging space as well. One of the cupboards. This cupboard is actually full of all linens and things, so it's not actually for hanging your own clothes, but it's still useful. And then you come back out. Across from there you've got just a loo with the sink in there, and then you've kind of got a bit of another seating area here. Then you go through into a very large sort of utility stroke bathroom. So you've got a washing machine, and they left us with some washing liquid. You've got this really big area which will come in handy, I'm sure, the sink and the mirror. Then you've got a big walk-in sort of shower area here, which they've left us some products for. And then best bit, the sauna. Can't wait to get into this tonight. But there you go, that's it. I love it. I think it's a really lovely little cottage, and I think we're going to have loads of fun here. It's our first full day in Rovaniemi today, and so we're off to the Santa Park, which is sort of like a attraction where we can go meet Santa and do lots of other Christmassy activities. So we're really excited and looking forward to that. The girls have just written their letters to Father Christmas, and they're really excited to hand them to the actual Father Christmas. And so I'll film some bits while we're there as well. We're in the Santa Park, and we've already been to the ice park, we've been in the igloo, and now we're in the bakery where the girls have had fun decorating Christmas cookies, and we've had some mulled wine, and hopefully we're going to go and find Santa and go on the Santa train. We're packed up and ready to go for another half day at the Santa Park to do the elf workshop, and then we're going to go on to the Santa Village. But it's absolutely beautiful here. We barely even noticed it snow, and then suddenly it looked like this, and it's just stunning. We've just got back from the Santa Village and had some dinner in our little hut that we've got outside. Stu made a fire for us. There was a wood store, so he just like made a fire and said that the wood was really good. I don't know, do you have different types of wood? Apparently you do. But yeah, it's really, really cosy little wood nook with little benches around it, and we all sat and had hot dogs over the fire, so that's been really, really lovely. And we're thinking we might do the pizza out here tomorrow as well. What are you drinking, Jessie?
A hot chocolate.
With marshmallows in it, yummy. Here's our tunnels, our igloos that we've created. The girls wanted a tunnel each, and it leads through to the back, so you can climb in and out. Not sure how long it will last, but There goes Jessica. We're back in Rovaniemi for the day before our sleeper train, so we're heading to the PILK, I think it's called, Science Museum. It's supposed to be really good for children, so we're going to go check that out for a little while before we head to the train station later on tonight. Quite a successful day in Helsinki so far. So this morning we went to the Helsinki Central Library, which was really good, loads of space, and they had a big section of English books, so we sat and read for a while, and then there was some open-ended toys to play with, so that was really nice. We went for lunch, and then now we're at a really nice big soft play centre, which was a bit pricey to get into, but you can stay as long as you like, and we're just going to stay here for a little bit longer and then head to our hotel for the evening. So that's our plan for today, and then chilled night at the hotel, and tomorrow is our flight home in the afternoon, so nice chilled morning as well, so looking forward to that. Oh, let's look at our room. Oh, it's very big, isn't it? So that was our trip. I really enjoyed it, and I made some really magical memories with our family, and it's a trip that took a lot of planning, and the last few weeks before we went especially, there was lots of thinking about packing, because I've never been on a winter holiday before, so I didn't even consider like all the things that we'd need to buy to go on a winter holiday, but we did it all for £2,000, and I think that's pretty amazing really, because when we first looked into Lapland, to be fair, I'd seen trips for Lapland and they were getting on for £2,000 per person for a couple of nights, or you can get the single day where you go. I've seen where people can go at like 3 a.m. in the morning and you get back at midnight, so you don't even actually sleep there, and they're getting on for nearly £1,000 per person. So to be perfectly honest, I never really thought we'd actually do it. I'd just seen these really expensive holidays to Lapland, and so we wanted to do it in with a realistic budget, and we also didn't want to do a really short, sharp holiday that felt rushed and meant that we wouldn't have time to have some really nice quality family time. We wanted it to be a proper holiday. So I read a few blog posts about how people had done it for cheaper, and I set about planning it. And the main thing, or the main two things I'd say that kept the budget down, were the fact that we did all of the elements ourselves. So we paid for like the hotel, the flights, the accommodation in Rovaniemi and Helsinki, a train and things. All of those individual elements were paid for individually. And the second thing I think was the fact that we stayed in an Airbnb for the majority of our trip, which meant that we were able to find really reasonable accommodation. But I'll come on to that accommodation later, because when you think Airbnb, you don't necessarily think the magical Lapland. And I don't think you could be further from the truth with what we ended up with. So we planned the trip, and how we did was we decided to fly to Helsinki. We looked at flying directly to Rovaniemi, but the flight prices were a lot higher in the month of December. I'm sure if you shopped around, you might be able to find cheaper flight prices. But when we were looking, the flight prices to Rovaniemi directly were a lot more expensive. I'm sorry, I'm just going to check how much we ended up paying for flight prices. So I wanted to kind of let you know the actual prices of things so you can kind of see how all of the money added up. In the end, we spent about £450 on our flights to Helsinki. So Helsinki is the capital of Finland, but is quite far away from where you're going to get like that magical snowy Lapland, and where Finnish Lapland is. So it's a lot cheaper to fly to Helsinki, and there's a lot more flights that go to Helsinki than there are that go to Rovaniemi, which is much further north. We knew we needed to get from Helsinki up to Rovaniemi. Now, the only real way you can do that is an internal flight, or you can go on the sleeper train. And to be perfectly honest, even if the flights were pretty similar in price, I just had this magical idea in my head of this Santa sleeper train, like the Polar Express, going from Rovaniemi up to Helsinki, and having that extra experience with my family of travelling through the snowy countryside on a sleeper train and all sleeping together in this little cabin on a train, which I just thought, when are you ever going to get a chance to do that again? So that's what we planned to do. And so I'd read that you couldn't buy tickets until 3 months before your trip, but I have actually found out since then that you can in fact buy tickets for that sleeper train, that it's called the VR train, and you can buy those tickets earlier. And in fact, we missed out and didn't get the saver tickets, which we could have got. The ticket from Helsinki up to Rovaniemi cost us £390 return, and that basically is the price for 2 adults return. And if you've got children under the age of 10, you're allowed 1 child per adult free in the same cabin, free of charge. Obviously, that does presume that you are going to be sharing a single bunk with your child. So obviously, there was me and Stu, Jessica and Emily, in a bunk bed. So you'll have seen in the clip what it looks like. When we arrived in Rovaniemi, which happened to be about 7 a.m. in the morning, we then had to get to our accommodation, which was about 20-25 minutes out of Rovaniemi, which for some people I would think that wouldn't be ideal. For us, we absolutely loved that. We loved being out of the city and being in our own little piece of heaven out of the city. We just chose to hire a car, which is something we booked before we left England. We took the car and we went to a supermarket, and I think it's called the K supermarket. It's a big one in Finland, and it is expensive. The supermarkets, the price over there, prices of all the things over there are really, really expensive. Alcohol especially is ridiculously expensive. So, if you want to be buying alcohol, you either need to be just choosing the low percentage alcohol, or maybe having a week where you don't drink that much. The food was really, really expensive as well. Maybe sort of like Waitrose prices maybe, but you just, compared to eating out, it wasn't expensive. We probably spent about 80 quid on that first shop, and that was to get us through the 4 or 5 days when we were going to be in Rovaniemi and staying in our Airbnb. So we stocked up loads at that supermarket, and then we drove to our Airbnb. Now, our Airbnb was absolutely amazing. It was the best choice. We found it on, I think it was on bookings.com or something like that, and was one of the things we spent ages and ages researching. We wanted to find an accommodation that had a really lovely outlook so that you could see all the snow and everything, and it had a sauna, it had an outdoor hut that had a fire. It was just absolutely perfect. In the wood store, they had sledges for us to play with, and there was a river, which if you've got young children, it's obviously something we had to be wary of, but it wasn't, you're never going to be leaving them unsupervised outside, and we were only there for a few days. So it was absolutely spectacular, and it was the best decision we made for our holiday, was to pick that kind of accommodation, because it suited our family down to the ground. It meant we had so much time out in the snow. We literally could just wrap ourselves up, step outside, and we were in like this winter wonderland. And what I envisaged going to Lapland being about, ended up not being what it was all about. What it ended up being all about was that family quality time in the snow, sledging, building snowmen, building ice tunnels. It was just amazing. And some of the things that maybe I had in my head that we were definitely going to do, we didn't end up doing, and I don't have any regrets about that. At the time I was like, should we do some things just to say we've done them? But actually, the things and the experiences we did have far outweighed the kind of tick box things we could have done if we'd paid loads and loads of money. We spent £632 on our Airbnb. We actually booked that, I think we booked it end of January, beginning of February. And to be perfectly honest, I think a lot of stuff had already gone by then. I think you probably could have found similar stuff, even a bit cheaper, maybe £100, £150 cheaper. But we missed out on some things because of just that being quite late to book it. So if you're considering booking for Christmas 2020, I really would consider doing the accommodation, getting that just booked as soon as possible, and your flights, just get them booked, because all the other bits you can do later, but those bits were the things that the best accommodation goes really, really fast. One of the things to consider as well is we were away for 8 days, but actually we didn't have to pay for 8 days accommodation because 2 of those days we were on the train. So you are paying for it in a way, but it's not like you're having to pay hotel fees. You're paying for like that sleeper train experience, and you're obviously getting your night's sleep included. So we didn't have to pay for 8 nights of accommodation really. So that's another thing to just consider when you're thinking about, if you're doing the sleeper train, how much money you would have left for your accommodation when you actually get to Rovaniemi. Got the sleeper train back to Helsinki, arrived about 6:30 in the morning, and this was one of the days that I thought was going to be brilliant, and actually when we got there, or just before we got there, we kind of realised, we had this realisation that we were basically going to be in Helsinki from about 6:30 a.m. and we weren't going to be able to check into our hotel that we'd booked for that night until 4 p.m. And so it was forecast to be drizzly and cold, but not snowy, just drizzly and cold like England basically. And we had to entertain the girls, and nowhere's opened at 6:30 in the morning, obviously. So we ended up in McDonald's having a very leisurely long breakfast to try and kill a bit of time. Then we went to the Helsinki Central Library, which was brilliant, and that was definitely a great find and definitely something that kept us entertained and warm. And then we took the metro to a really giant indoor soft play centre, which was brilliant. Trampoline park, loads of slides, soft play, you know, all that fun and games. Kids were in the element, Stu was in his element, you know, that again, we managed to kill a couple of hours in there, and then we headed back on the metro right into central Helsinki, where we had a hotel overnight. We had a nice big family hotel room where we stayed overnight, and it had a little fridge and a little microwave, so we went just and got like some cheap food and microwaved some food up, and didn't even go out for dinner. And then the next day we got up, had our a breakfast. Again, we just bought croissants and some cereal and some milk and had it in the hotel. Then went to a really lovely buffet, all you can eat Chinese restaurant round the corner, fill ourselves up nicely for lunch, and then we got we got the train from Helsinki back to the Helsinki airport, which takes about 20 minutes, and then we got our flight home in the afternoon. So that's how we kind of did it. It was quite a lot of travelling, but it wasn't rushed because we did it over 8 days. We didn't really ever feel like we had to like get here to there to there. We planned it all out, so we had plenty of time in places. We intentionally tried to have a day in Helsinki. It was probably slightly a bit too long because of just the fact that the sleeper train got us there at 6:30 a.m. But in the end, it all worked out well, and we got all of the things done that we wanted to get done. And just really lovely experience. So that's how we did it. It was not the traditional way that a lot of people would think to do Lapland. It was a bit more of a sort of make your own holiday. But I think that's how you should do holidays. You should do holidays how they suit you and your family. And not everybody is suited to the kind of mass commercial holidays where you basically just hand over some money and everyone sort it all out for you. And that does have some definite benefits. It takes some stress off of you, certainly, but it also takes some of the control away from you. So, for example, when we were in Rovaniemi, we decided to pay and go to a Santa Park, which was a paid attraction. It cost us about 100 and something euro, 112 euros or something, about £100 it cost us for us to get in. That did allow us to get in for 2 consecutive days, and that was where we chose to take the girls to do the proper Santa experience and go and see Santa. £100 is obviously not something to be sniffed at. Definitely was something we considered, like, is this going to be worth it? But we had the choice of either taking them there to see Santa or to take them to the Santa Village. Now, the Santa Village is the place that I'd originally heard of, and that's where we'd originally intended to take them to see Santa. And that, if you go there, it's free to see Santa. But the Santa Village is basically, it's really beautiful at night, and I definitely recommend going to visit it. It's all snowy, there's loads of lit up buildings, it's very, very picturesque, but all of those little buildings are in fact just lots of shops, and then mixed in with those shops are lots and lots of little mini sort of taster experiences that you can buy, but none of those experiences are very authentic, and they're all very, very expensive. You're looking at €70 to have a little very, very short reindeer fit ride, or the husky one was around a very, very simple track. It wasn't like going out into the countryside or anything. So the Santa Village is definitely somewhere I'd recommend to go, but is somewhere you just need to be aware that is quite a commercial area, and is somewhere that, unless you're very, very careful, you could just end up spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds for some very, very short, sharp experiences. So I think it's been designed well for the tour operators to bring groups into, so they can get through lots of experiences very quickly and then get their tours out. And I've heard from other people who've booked onto experiences that have done like a 2 or 3 night break, and they've said that although it was brilliant and magical, they felt rushed, and that the experiences were very short and sharp and not very personalised, or they just felt very rushed, and that maybe weren't exactly what they were hoping for. So it's just something to consider. Every family is different. What you want isn't necessarily what I would want, and what you prioritise might not be what I prioritise. And we, in the end, prioritised having some more of a sort of personal family time rather than doing those experiences. So that's what we chose to do. Anyway, I think I've rambled on for long enough. So that's how we did it. It all came in under £2,000. If you wanted like souvenirs, or if you wanted to do some more of those experiences, yeah, it would be a little bit more. But I hope I've shown that you can actually do it for £2,000 and not have to spend thousands and thousands of pounds for a really short, sharp holiday. So I hope this has been really interesting for you, and that it's inspired you. If you're thinking of doing Lapland and you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. You can just pop a comment down below, and I'll catch you next time for more videos coming your way soon. Bye!